Comedian Bill Cosby is declaring victory after the Pennsylvania Supreme Court released him from prison. He was serving a 10-year sentence for sexual assault, but the court overturned his conviction, ruling Cosby should not have been charged because of a deal he made with a previous prosecutor. CBS News national correspondent Jericka Duncan spoke with Bill Cosby inside his home after his release. She was the only network TV correspondent with this access.
Yeah, it was a surreal moment. In fact, we asked his publicist, Andrew White, who's standing behind me, if we had an opportunity, if we could get an opportunity to speak with Bill Cosby. He said, we'll see. He wasn't making any guarantees that Bill Cosby would speak to me, but we did go inside the home. I waited in the kitchen area for about a minute or two, and then he told me to come upstairs. I wasn't sure what to expect exactly, but when I went upstairs and made a right, Bill Cosby was right there in his bedroom wrapping up a phone conversation. After that conversation was wrapped up, we spoke to him for about 3 to 4 minutes. I basically asked him, what do you want people to know? What is the message here as far as you being home? He said that he was grateful and happy to be home, overjoyed, and that he felt vindicated, which is something his accusers did not feel yesterday. Bill Cosby smiled and flashed the peace sign outside his Pennsylvania home Wednesday, shortly after the Pennsylvania Supreme Court threw out his 2018 sex assault conviction. In my conversation with Cosby inside his home, he told me the ruling sends a message around the world. He said that what happened to him was unjust and justice was finally served. In a radio interview after his release, he spoke about people wrongfully imprisoned.
I met them in there, people who talked about what happened and what they did. And I know there are many liars out there, but these people can't get lawyers.
The court ruled that Cosby had been denied a fair trial when he was found guilty of drugging and sexually assaulting Andrea Constand in 2004. It cited a non-prosecution agreement Cosby made in a 2005 civil suit brought by Constand. As part of the agreement, Cosby was assured he would not face criminal prosecution if he gave a deposition in the civil case.
I'm stunned. I'm still processing my feelings.
Victoria Valentino is one of more than 60 women to accuse Cosby of abuse.
Hi, how's everybody?
Once lovingly known as America's dad, Cosby was the first major celebrity to be convicted amid the Me Too movement. Valentino was in the courtroom for Cosby's 2018 conviction. She told us back then what the ruling meant to her.
It says that no matter how wealthy, no matter how powerful, no matter how famous, you are not above the law.
She says Wednesday's decision sends a different message.
It sends the message that the law is not on our side. Once again, women have been just thrown under the bus.
Spokesperson Andrew White echoed what Cosby told me.
This is vindication for Bill Cosby, and this is justice for Bill Cosby.
What about our civil liberties? What about our constitutional rights to breathe free and not be in danger now that our rapist is free?
Tanya, Cosby was serving time for drugging and sexually assaulting Andrea Constand inside this very home where I spoke to Cosby. Constand released a statement calling the decision disappointing and says she's concerned about what this could potentially mean for other people who come forward with allegations of sexual assault. Tanya?
Jericka Duncan, thank you. I'd like to bring in actor and artist Lili Bernard now. She is also one of the many women who accused Bill Cosby of sexual assault. Lili, thank you so much for joining us. As one of Bill Cosby's accusers, how does it make you feel knowing that the man you say drugged and raped you is now walking free?
It's a sort of feeling of betrayal from my country. I'm an Afro-Cuban immigrant. I was born in Cuba, and my parents brought me to this country with the dreams and hopes of the privilege of living in a country that is about democracy and justice. And so this shows that our justice system is broken. It shows that when two men of wealth and privilege make an informal agreement, that a serial rapist gets to walk free.
And When you say the two men of wealth and privilege, are you talking about Cosby and whoever he made the deal with, the prosecutor he made the deal with?
Yeah, Castor. Yes, I am. I am. And that is just, it's so disheartening. When I heard the news yesterday, I felt as if I were punched in the gut. It was a very visceral reaction. I was deeply saddened and cried a lot. I cried a lot.
And how then are you and other Cosby survivors planning to move forward from this now? This is almost, I would imagine, a second sort of trauma.
It is. It was figuratively as if we were all assaulted all over again. It's a slap in the face or a 2x4 in the back of the head. A lot of us have used our trauma. We have transformed our trauma into triumph by changing laws. Several of us Cosby survivors were instrumental in abolishing the statute of limitations on rape prosecution in California, others in Nevada and Colorado. So we're going to continue the fight. Clearly, the fight is not over. It's, as they say, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. So although it's an injury, it's not something that's going to stop us from fighting. The fight is not over. Our voices obviously still need to be heard.
And when Cosby was first convicted, it was considered a huge win for the Me Too movement, with so many women coming forward and sharing their stories. But now with his conviction being overturned, how do you believe that this will impact, sort of the post-Me Too world and potentially other women, whether or not they will come forward in any potential future high-profile cases?
That's an excellent question. That's the reason why so few women come forward to speak about their sexual assault. It's the norm for women not to speak out. Less than 2% of rapists ever see a day behind bars. And clearly those rapists who have enough money to hire powerful attorneys will go on with impunity. My concern is really for the women who will come in close proximity with Bill Cosby. It's hard to believe that 7 Supreme Court justices would put a known serial rapist on the street. Again, you don't have to even take the word of us, the 64 of us or more who've gone public about Bill Cosby's assaults on us, incidentally, a third of us being Black. You just have to listen to Bill Cosby. Just believe Bill Cosby. In his own words under oath in a 2005 deposition, he admitted to administering quaaludes to women without their knowledge for the purpose of having sex with them. That is rape. So I hope that women will not be dismayed, and men who are sexually assaulted by powerful people or by anyone to come forward. I want everyone to know that there is a community of survivors and advocates here to support you. I also hope that the justice system, maybe the federal prosecutors might find ways to yet prosecute Bill Cosby, and that I hope that other survivors of Bill Cosby will come forward. That I and many of us personally know several Bill Cosby survivors who have not come forward to the public because it comes with a great burden.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you next. Have you spoken to a lawyer, or do you know if any of the other Bill Cosby accusers have spoken to lawyers about whether there is any more recourse either in civil or criminal court going forward?
Well, there are states that are starting to open up windows for people to file civil cases who are sexually assaulted. I don't know criminally. My focus is on the criminal aspect of his release, that he's going to be able to continue to drug and rape women, and that's terrifying to me. So I'm hoping that somehow he will be held accountable under a court of law. I mean, clearly the justice system is broken. Clearly the justice system is not in favor of women, of victims.
Well, Lili Bernard, we thank you so much for joining us and speaking with us. We know that this is a tough topic for you, and we appreciate your time. We really do.
Okay, thank you so much.